Mike McDonald has the number one defense, period, capital A, again, period. The more I watch, and really, I think your point about the days when there's not fans, which are becoming they've become my favorite of the last couple of years because of what we can hear, and the opportunities we get to for those who haven't been to camp. They have these two video boards on the side where the media stands. So not only can we see a play, and fortunate enough to be on the same side of the defense, we can see a play happen in front of us. Then we can turn and watch on the video board. And if something went wrong or something was good, we can hear the secondary typically come over and be like, "Oh man, we had this, that. What was the call here?" And walk it through. We just learned so much, and you can see all the little details that are going to make the defense really good. I think Spoon's communication really stands out there. We're not allowed to quote what these guys say, which is why you don't hear about it or write. We can't write about it. But just for those of us who are there so consistently, you can just see like, oh, this is going to be good because of that word Olu mentioned, the clarity. There's just so much but particularly with the starters, with the backups, it can get a little nasty there because those guys don't know each other as well, and they're just not as good. But with the starters, it's very clear, like, oh wow, the reason I did this, J Love, is because I saw that, and he'll be like, oh yeah, I saw that too. I'm glad you did that, and they didn't have to tell each other. Like that stuff is cash, man. And this is all without Ernest, by the way. Ernest hasn't really been practicing at all. So I think that once they get Ernest back, I already love the front just hearing how these guys are going through all the rules and everything. That maybe that's why the Olu comment stood out to me too, because I can hear the clarity on defense. They know we get trips to this in this situation, this split, we're doing that, this and that. There's so much problem solving that they're doing on the fly. And then they got this, this guy Mike McDonald, who's like he's supposed to be this genius on defense. I believe he is, and I say he did it again in that lead-in because we saw this with the Ravens. They were good after they got Roquan in the trade, whatever year that was. And in the next full year, that's when they were just world beaters and just whipping everybody's ass. So if I had right now just going, that would probably be how I describe the season.
Now, Rob, I know you are not at these practices, but you're about as omnipresent as anyone can be that is not there. So, I mean, obviously, that's a pretty positive headline from Mike. What based off everything you've read, would be your first week takeaway about this team?
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic to hear what Mike said there about the defense, because from what I'm reading, that was kind of the vibe that I was getting from people was, I think the fact that Mike said they could be the best defense in the NFL. I've been trying to sort of be restrained on that because I'm 5,000 miles away, so I'm not seeing any of this stuff, so I can't really pass comment on it. But that is a great target to go for, and that's what Mike McDonald did with the Baltimore defense. They went 28-8 first. He inherited the 28th defense. They were probably about 8th by the end of last year. Can they get to first next year? There are very few holes on that defense right now. Yes, you're looking for somebody who can develop as that top end pass rusher. Is there a player on the roster who can do that, who can be that sort of lead dog when it comes to, getting those big sacks on key plays, making sacks on first down, not just on third down when it's in a favorable down and distance. You're looking for that kind of a player. But apart from that, there's not really any holes. The pieces are there to have a great defense. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I'm enjoying most, hearing what you guys are talking about, what other people who've been at training camp are talking about. And hopefully, in the coming next couple of weeks, we will begin to get some clarity on that offensive line and things will be coming together. I think the Seahawks are going to win the NFC West. I think everything's there for them. I think they could be perhaps more competitive than some people think in the NFC. I'm not suggesting they're going to get to the Super Bowl or anything, but I do think they've got a chance to get to the playoffs and be a real pain in the backside to play this season. So I'm optimistic with what you were saying and what I'm reading.
It's fascinating to me because I think the defense certainly has looked really good, and I certainly believe in what Mike McDonald can do. I also still have real question marks about the offense. And the thing that's challenging here is if the defense is truly the number one or even a top 5 defense, then the bar for how good the offense has to be, it drops, right? Like the bar is not as high. If you're holding people to 15 points a game, you only need to score 16, right? So, and the thing that I can't quite get out of my head is, as good as Mike McDonald has been as a defensive coach, it took him half a year in his first time at Baltimore to kind of get the personnel and get things going. It took him a half a year last year to get his defense kind of the right personnel and get going. How realistic, Mike, is it to expect Clint Kubiak to come in with a new quarterback, a new scheme, new receivers, young offensive line, and for that offense to be good enough to pair with a really good defense and be a playoff team?
Yeah, that's right. I'm with you. I'm skeptical. That's why my headline did not include the offense because it's just so much wait and see for me. Because it's not like I can't think of an offensive. Actually, yes, I can. It's not like they're hiring Schottenheimer, who had proven it when they hired him in 2018 that he could have a really good offense. Like even with talent that wasn't that great. He did it with the Jets, not as much with the Rams, but like we had seen it. And it's not like sometimes a defensive coordinator who's done it before, when he gets hired, I'm like, oh, he's going to turn that around. I felt that way when the Eagles hired Fangio. I feel that way about the Niners hiring Saleh. I just trust those guys because they've done it. And Kubiak, I'm not as high on. He's just coming. It's almost like last year. The floor I thought for inside linebacker was so low because I wasn't high on Tyrell or Jerome Baker. So when Ernest came in, he didn't have to be Fred Warner to make it feel like he made such a big difference. And I think that's where Kubiak's kind of benefiting from in the big picture. And that like Grubb was so bad that if Kubiak just is not bad, it'll feel great. But that's not enough to get you to where you want to be. These guys are Super Bowl or bust in their minds, whether they should be or not is whatever. But they are. And it's like, well, is this guy going to get you there? Because I think the teams that can get there are the teams that can win in the margins on offense, like who can get there on third down or whatever. Like when you get the ball with 2 minutes left, you know that you guys are going to rock and roll. You're going to make all the clutch plays. You're going to make all the tough throws, the tough catches, the win in the obvious passing situations. Because we've seen some offenses like look really good in the regular season and get to the playoffs and they just fall short there. And sometimes it is those offenses that are predicated on like, all right, we're going to run the ball, make sure we're always in third and manageable. It's like, well, you're not going to be always in third and manageable. There'll be a playoff game or a high leverage week 18, week 17 game where it's like, bro, it's 3rd and 7. You're down 6. You can't play action right now. Like, everybody needs to just buck up and beat the guy in front of them and make it happen. Does this offense have enough to do that? I feel like this offense is probably going to remind us a little bit of the Packers with Love. Like their offense is very similarly predicated on like, let's run the ball, play action, like very QB friendly scheme, O-line friendly scheme as well, actually. But like when push comes to shove, they didn't have enough in the passing game to make a run. They just didn't. Now, part of that's because they don't have a number one receiver, but just in general, they just didn't have enough juice. And that was with a great play caller, I think, in LaFleur. So now I'm going back to Kubiak. I'm like, dude, the bar is, if the goal is to just, go to the wild card round and put up a fight, well, yeah, sure. But I don't think that's the goal. Actually, I know that's not the goal. And if it's not, then yeah, I can't help but just be skeptical of what they have on offense. Not just the O-line. I'm talking about the play caller, receivers, and the quarterback.
Yeah,